of creating and running this journal, many of us became aware of a certain hierarchy in the different subjects we were dealing with, and that's understandable and to be expected. The hierarchy was something like this: mathematics, physics, chemistry, life sciences. What is the sense of the hierarchy? It was that each of these subjects, people in each of these subjects were very critical of the way concepts were used and explained by the next subject. To give you an example, the level of rigor is always not the same when you cross over from one subject to another. As an example, physicists would use mathematics in very intuitive ways, and they would rely on intuition to solve the problems of mathematics relevant to them. But the mathematicians would be very upset by this. Chemistry, they would use quantum mechanics really quite cavalierly. I really feel for chemists, is there a chemist here? Yeah, Mahapatra is there. They take the wave function in quantum mechanics very seriously, very literally. Something which a physicist would be a bit cautious about. For them, wave functions are very real. For a physicist who is worried about problems of interpretation, the status of the wave function is a little more delicate, not so easily understood. So I think it is inevitable that this kind of relationship would happen. I think the life scientists would take many principles of chemistry immediately without any reflection or with deep examination, which might make chemists a little bit uneasy. We also had complaints for many years that the level of mathematics articles in resonance is unreasonably high, and we never could find out how to respond to this. So I don't know if this is still a matter to be dealt with. Now I come back to these series articles which we had in the early years. They are very, very valuable. But I want to know, how well are they known today to the student and teacher population, science student teachers in the country? How much are they used today? This, I think, is important. It would be good to know. In a sense, there are many treasures, I would say, in the older issues of resonance, but are they remembered or largely forgotten? I would like this to be examined. If they are forgotten, how do you bring them back to everyone's attention so that people can use them? More generally, over the many years now, we have produced many special issues on important occasions, including many Indian scientists. Now, one thing I should say to the students and teachers of science, every issue tells you something about the life of an important person from the past. And it's done in a brief manner. And especially Indian scientists, you should get to know a little about their lives, the ways they grew up, how they studied, what they did. It should be known, all this should be known better than it generally is. Some of the landmark issues I would like to mention. There was a whole series inspired by quantum mechanics. I say this because I'm a physicist. We had an issue on Heisenberg, for which Heisenberg's son contributed an article, and a painting of Heisenberg appeared on the cover. An issue on Dirac, an issue on Schrödinger, an issue on Pauli, on Bohr, and on Sommerfeld. Of course, they did not come right after one another. They were spread over many years. I think this set of issues of resonance is a very rich resource for serious students and teachers. And I think it's a resource meant for self-study. It's not to help you to pass the exam in your subject, but to go a little deeper, understand things better. How do you bring them out in the open, so to say, in case people have forgotten? The past contents of resonance issues are as valuable as today's, many of them. It's not like a newspaper. You can forget a day before yesterday's and yesterday's when you look at today's newspaper. So I just want to make this point. In 2005, we had two special issues, two successive months, March and April, devoted to Einstein to celebrate the year of miracles. In those two issues, as a change from the usual pattern, I think all the articles were devoted to Einstein's work, exclusively physics based. In biology, I remember we had issues on Darwin. We had two issues, I think. There was some recent one also. We had a series of issues led by Amitabh Joshi on Rabies Haldane, Fisher, Sewell Wright, Ernst Mayr, Dobzhansky also. All of these things. Taken as a whole, I would feel that for students and teachers in the life sciences, it's very rich material to read and understand better this whole area of evolution in biology. Some years ago, I suggested that the academia could compile sets of good quality articles from issues of resonance collected subject-wise or theme-wise. Just take evolution as an example, or quantum theory as an example. From different issues, collect the best you can get, put them together, make them available to the community in the country. In mathematics, very early, some such volumes were produced. They were printed by Universities Press in Hyderabad. But that has not happened since then. Later, what happened is something very valuable, thanks to Professor Ram Ramaswamy, who was president of the academy till a year ago. He has planned and brought out a series of volumes called Master Class series. They are, however, articles by one single author generally in many issues of resonance put together. That has been very valuable. What I am thinking of is a different type. Subject-based, not a single author-based. And I think that would have a lot of value to the students and teachers. So, a general suggestion and a hope for the future. Make efforts to see that the high-quality articles from the past, 24 years of them, are not forgotten, but somehow constantly brought to the attention of students and teachers. I think we have to encourage the spirit of reading and learning by oneself, in addition to whatever is done in the classroom. So this is only to enrich the classroom experience. In this spirit, I would say up to a few years ago, I remember each year our academic co-publisher, Springer, would inform us how many articles of resonance had been downloaded full text each year, and other journals also. And I recall up to about 6-7 years ago, I would keep following these numbers. Sometimes as many as 30,000 or 40,000 articles had been downloaded, full articles from resonance over a 12-month period. Yesterday, Srimati told us, now that figure is 100,000. 100,000 downloads from resonance per year. So something is being done which is correct, which is good. But I would like to know, can we somehow trace who these people are? Where are they? Where are they located? Are they students or teachers? In what way do they use this material from resonance? It's a wonderful feeling to say, to realize you are producing something which is found valuable by so many people. But if you know a little bit more about them, it may help you in planning for the future. It may not be easy to do that, but the fact that this number is so high is really encouraging and impressive. It may be that they are all in the USA. Doesn't matter. I was telling you yesterday, I was saying at the meeting yesterday, it is time to think of resonance not as an Indian journal, but as a journal meant for the whole world scientific community. Some years ago, someone with whom we had a correspondence from outside India made the clear statement, there is no other journal worldwide like Resonance. That's a very good thing to hear. So, production of each issue takes so much effort, so much. I've seen it in editorial board meetings. So much of discussion, so much of what should we put into the next issue. Do we have enough material and so on? This is always going on. That never shows in the printed version when it comes out. It looks so beautiful. So I think we have to view Resonance as something which is not for India alone. Certainly not. But on the other hand, we would hope so much it is used as much as possible by our students and teachers. It's fine, let 100,000 US students unload, let them use it for their term papers. Nothing wrong. But our own community should also derive that amount of benefit from it. One other lesson we have learned in this long period, and I think it's not a surprise, the gift of writing at the Resonance level is not so common in India today as yet. But wherever you find it, you have to support it and cultivate it. We have still to reach the level which I imagine exists in the case of the American Journal of Physics. The community of physicists is larger, but here we still have some way to go. Sometimes I find even very good writers in our country slip up on historical accuracy. I'm a little bit uneasy about that. As a physicist, it hurts me a little to read in an article otherwise well written that Heisenberg proposed his uncertainty principle in 1925. He discovered quantum mechanics in 1925. The uncertainty principle came in 1927. Such small errors bother me, maybe reflection on me, but the problem I feel is such errors get propagated. Students probably think, teachers think, anything written in Resonance must be true. So they will tell it to their friends and neighbors also. So I just feel we need to tighten that a little bit. In another otherwise beautiful article, the writer said, Dirac discovered his wave equation in 1930. Most people may not think, what's a big deal? But I know. He discovered it in 1928. And every one of these dates is very important. If you were to say a mistake in when Einstein created special relativity, would be not nice things to do. Of course, in the case of Einstein, nobody will forget. So this is just something I want to mention, that the gift of writing is not common. Gift of writing well is not common. Wherever you find a good writer, we have to encourage and help that person. And overall, the editorial side, the question of accuracy has to be always kept in mind. This is very, not only the content, but even the history, because the history is very important. My successors as chief editors, Professor Rajaraman, Professor Mahadevan, Sebastian, Rajaram Nityananda, now Satyamurthy, and Chandrasekharan in between, they have to deal with such issues. I have seen how much effort they put into the production of Resonance. We need a good supply of good writers and good articles all the time. Maybe things are improving compared to the early years. But the advantage in the early years was things were new, and we had the series articles whose importance I cannot underestimate. So to summarize, it was indeed a privilege for my early colleagues, two of them are here, and me, to create this journal, to conceptualize it. I just cannot repeat how we used to discuss various aspects and various suggestions would be made, but always we arrived at a consensus. There was never any conflict of any kind. those cookies and drinks, they did it for us. The production quality, as I have told you, has increased enormously over the years, the overall design and the presentation. But the original design of Ayan Guha and Srinivas Bhogle, that has been maintained. Of course, the present board of editors should not feel bound to keep things as they are. You must always feel free. You are always welcome to change things if it is for the better. That is left to your judgment. So let me conclude by thanking you again for this chance to recall some history of this journal and to make some suggestions for the future. My thanks again to Suri and Satyamurthy and Reverend Father for their efforts in arranging this two-day celebration. It was my privilege to be here today. Thank you very much.